Have you ever tried to set up an Amazon S3 bucket policy only to be met with an error that leaves you scratching your head? It can be incredibly frustrating, right? If that's you, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into the common issue of S3 bucket actions not applying to resources and how to fix it. I completely understand how annoying it is when you follow instructions to the letter, only to be met with an error message that makes no sense. You're definitely not alone in this. Many users face similar challenges when working with S3 bucket policies. Let's take a closer look at the specific situation. One user recently asked, "What am I missing from my S3 bucket policy?" They provided a policy that seemed correct but received an error stating, "Action does not apply to any resource S in statement." Sound familiar? If so, let's work through this together. So what could be causing this error? The issue often arises from incorrect resource specifications in the policy. If the resource ARN doesn't match the intended objects, or if the actions specified don't align with the resources, you'll run into this problem. Let's break it down step by step. And stick around. I have a crucial tip at the end that will help you avoid this issue in the future. To resolve the issue with the S3 bucket policy, the user should first check the resource ARN specified in the policy. The ARN must include the specific objects within the bucket, not just the bucket itself. Next, the user should modify the policy to allow access to all objects within the bucket. This is done by adding a wildcard character at the end of the ARN. After updating the resource ARN, the user should review the permissions granted in the policy. Ensure that the action specified, which is S3 getObject, is appropriate for the intended access. Finally, the user should apply the updated policy to the S3 bucket and test the access. This can be done by attempting to retrieve an object from the bucket to confirm that the policy is now functioning correctly. Fun fact, did you know that Amazon S3 was launched in 2006 and has since become one of the most popular cloud storage services? It's hard to believe how far we've come in cloud technology. Now, let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative solution from another user suggests modifying your S3 bucket policy. They encountered a similar issue and found that adding a wildcard to the resource ARN resolved the problem. Let's take a moment to review another user's answer. An alternative solution from another user suggests that the error may be resolved by removing certain actions from your S3 bucket policy. They found that some actions, like getBucketACL, listBucket, and listBucket multipart uploads, are not applicable to the resource in question. Let's move forward and look at another answer. An alternative solution suggests modifying the JSON policy resource. Specifically, you should add a wildcard after your bucket name. This means changing the resource line to include our AWS S3 bucket name/shat. That wraps up that answer. Let's move on to another one. This user suggests a different approach for your S3 bucket policy. They explain that when using actions related to the bucket, like listBucket or getBucket policy, the resource should be specified as just the bucket ARN. For actions related to objects, like getObject or deleteObject, you need to include a wildcard at the end of the ARN. If you're using actions that apply to both, you should list both the bucket and object ARNs. That's all on that answer. Let's take a look at another one. An alternative solution provided by another user suggests checking your S3 bucket's public access settings. First, go to Amazon S3 in your instance. Then navigate to the Permissions tab and select the Public Access tab. Here, you should edit the settings to uncheck Block All Public Access and save your changes. After doing this, you should see a public tag in the Permissions tab and Access Control list. Here's the tip I promised. Always double-check your resource ARNs and actions when creating or modifying S3 bucket policies. This simple habit can save you a lot of headaches down the line. And there you have it. With these steps, you should be able to resolve the issue with your S3 bucket policy. Remember, Attention to detail is key. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more troubleshooting tips and don't miss our next video where we tackle another common cloud issue.